Back at Fox City Stadium here in Appleton, Wisconsin, Pat Coleman along with Jim Dixon. It's the Day 3 wrap-up from the 2011 Division III Baseball Championships, a day in which, Jim, we were whittled down to the final four teams. Buena Vista, Chapman, Keystone, and Marietta remain, a pair of interesting elimination games, and then, of course, the winner's bracket final, which put Marietta in position to play for the national championship game. And I thought we'd start with, we'd just take the games in order today. Wisconsin-Whitewater gets eliminated. They fall to Chapman by the score of 4-2. I thought, in general, Jim, the teams that won today were the ones that had pitching remaining, and certainly in this first game with Christian Marietta coming up with a complete game five-hitter.
Oh, they certainly did. And you got to expect to sit there and have your pitching go deep within the tournament. If you don't have three, maybe four starters who can sit there and give you a quality game, you're not going to be able to win a national championship.
For Whitewater, as the lone bright spot on offense, Jeff Donovan did go out strong. He had a two-run homer in the seventh inning that cut the lead to 3-2, but Whitewater was not able to put itself over the top. We'll stay tuned to find out what sport Jeff Donovan will play next for Wisconsin-Whitewater and which team he will try to lead to a Division III national championship next year. My thoughts are men's basketball. I've heard wrestling. I don't think they have ice hockey, and who knows, maybe tennis. Big, long wingspan I just put out of the frame, didn't I?
There you go.
Yeah, backhand there. And then, so for Chapman, it was a lot of little ball. Troy Newman with 3 RBIs on just one base hit.
Yes, he really was the story on the offense. He knocks in the first run with a sacrifice fly. He goes by, he gets a position where he needs to lay a bunt down, and he lays down a perfect bunt. Runner comes in. Now there's 2 runs. He comes up in the 8th inning. Runners on base. He can't sacrifice 2 outs, so he gets that key hit and drives in another run. He really was this offensive star for Chapman today.
And for Whitewater, it's a team that's really thrived on the offensive success at the top of the lineup, and the bottom of the lineup hasn't done very much. For Chapman, the first couple of days, Steve Greenberg hitting out of the 9 hole was doing a good job, and Newman, of course, today hitting out of the 8 spot.
Yeah, I look at the team stats, and I look at where Chapman is pitching, where they're hitting, where they're fielding, and I don't understand why they're still here.
Yeah.
They really have not been able to sit there and put a quality game together, a quality game that you would expect from Chapman. So I think we may be seeing something different when we come tomorrow. I expect to see a quality game, and I expect to see those numbers improve for the Chapman Panthers.
Chapman, 4 runs on 8 hits and 1 error. Whitewater, 2 runs, 5 hits, and 4 errors. Marietta with the win, he improves to 6-2. Riley Tincher with the loss, he falls to 10-4. Whitewater's season over at 37-13, and Chapman will play tomorrow. Our second game, the other elimination game here this afternoon, saw Keystone sending Salisbury home by the score of 7-2, and finally, after innings and innings of offensive frustration for Keystone, they finally got the big hit today.
They really did. The later innings, they got a clutch hit, and that was something we've been expecting to see from Keystone. They're a hitting team, and you expect them to come out and start slugging. This is the time of the tournament that we start seeing offense really take over, because we're deep into the pitching staffs, and if you don't have an offense that can rake, you are really going to be at a disadvantage.
Nathan Young did have a good outing for Salisbury. It went 7 innings, gave up 6 hits, walked just 1, 3 runs, 2 of them earned. Drew Baldwin gave up 4 runs in relief, 2 of them unearned. But it's a situation where Keystone gets the leadoff homer from Esteban Melatiche, and then is just really struggling the rest of the day. They manage to scratch out a run in the 3rd, and even then they get in a double play and get themselves out of the inning, so to speak. And then they leave runners in scoring position in the 7th. Melatiche ends up getting a sacrifice fly, but they have a bit of a hole in the lineup with Frank Formino, a guy who's hitting a $1.09 coming into the afternoon, and they looked like they were in real trouble. That they come up with they get the big 2-run hit from Roberto Santana in the top of the 9th, and then Salisbury kicks the ball around a little bit to make the final score 7-2. For Santana and for the Keystone offense, is that the kind of 9th inning that can serve as a springboard for the rest of the tournament?
It really can be, and what we're going to expect tomorrow is we're going to expect a lot more hitting out of Keystone. And the one thing that the coach has been talking about day after day is they really have depth in their pitching. So we have not seen the end of Keystone's pitching staff. And they're going to need to win 3 games to win a national championship. Do they have three pitchers that can do it? I think they do. Their pitching staff is that deep, and they've impressed every team that they played.
Keystone is going to face, of course, top-ranked Marietta on Monday, and they're going to pitch a guy who was drafted out of high school by the Philadelphia Phillies. So we'll see how that goes. Melatice was the offense to start. Was all the offense before the ninth inning. He was 2 for 3 with a homer and a sacrifice fly. Salisbury, as we mentioned, kind of kicked the ball around and fell apart a little bit. But it's a young team. They've got so many freshmen playing key roles in the squad. It'd be far more likely to see them back here next year than we would have thought we'd see them here this year.
The Salisbury coach believes that he has his best rookie class playing this year. So he has 3-4 players, all freshmen, playing key spots. And so they are going to become the core of the Salisbury Seagulls. And yes, I think we can see the Salisbury making another trip in the next 2 or 3 years here in Wisconsin.
So Keystone, 7 runs on 8 hits, 3 errors. Salisbury, 2 runs on 6 hits with 4 errors. Salisbury takes the loss. They fall to 34-14. Keystone, 38-11. Brad Higgins, we didn't even mention him, improves to 8-1 with a strong outing for the Giants here this afternoon. Nathan Young with the loss, falling to 5-2. And that gets us to our winners bracket game, the winners bracket championship, featuring the top-ranked Marietta Pioneers and the unranked Buena Vista Beavers. And, I guess par for the course, or what do you expect for Marietta? Another dominant pitching outing.
It really was. Mark Williams didn't have his best stuff, but, sometimes good is good enough. He went out there. He wasn't expecting to get the strikeouts, and he got 10 strikeouts. He went there. He put the ball in play. He let his defense sit there and take the slack. And the defense performed magnificently for Marietta today.
Yep. Mark Williams, second team D3Baseball.com All-American, did strike out 10. His team made no errors behind him, and gave up just the 7 hits and 2 walks in those 7 innings, and the 1 earned run. For Buena Vista, Reggie Cook, we talked at the very beginning of the tournament about pitching depth, especially after Luke Probasco in the Buena Vista rotation. I thought Cook pitched fairly well, but his defense kind of let him down a little bit.
It really did. And it wasn't just his defense. It was him booting the ball a little bit and a couple of wild pitches. So it really is. We could have seen probably one of the best games of the tournament tonight. But except for a lapse in the 6th inning, we probably could still be playing now.
I liken watching this Marietta team play or playing against Marietta is like facing Mount Union or Wisconsin-Whitewater in football. You can't afford to turn the ball over in your own half of the field against those two teams, and you can't afford to give Marietta extra outs, because that's what happened in that 3-run 6th inning tonight.
Oh, absolutely.
And so the other thing, of course, of note is that Marietta continues. I don't say if it's necessarily a slow start, but they've scored only a handful of runs in the first innings, and they really come on late in the games.
Yeah, Marietta has outscored their opponents by about 5 or 6 runs a game, but they're only scoring 2-3 runs a game in the first half of the game. And you talk to the coach about it, and coach says, when you face good pitching, it's going to take a while for you to get to the point where you can score those runs, and that's what they're doing. Brian Brewer doesn't care when they score the runs, as long as they can score more runs than the opposition.
And they won by the score of 5-1. 5 runs, 6 hits, and no errors for Marietta. Buena Vista, 1 run on 7 hits and 3 errors. Of course, this was the winners bracket final, so Buena Vista is still alive. They fall to 33-17. Marietta improves to 45-3. Williams 8-1. Cook falls to 3-4, and Logan Lewis came on for the final 2 innings to pick up his first save of the season. So, looking forward to Monday now. We've got Buena Vista versus Chapman, and then Keystone versus Marietta. This is, the Keystone Marietta game is commonly known as the throwaway game. Buena Vista versus Chapman, that's an elimination game now.
It really is. And I think these are the 2 matchups that I wanted to see play. I think that Buena Vista and Chapman really have a chance to win the game. And certainly we know what we expect to see from Keystone. Maybe they're going to be the ones to sit there and stop Marietta.
So do we see Probasco coming back for Buena Vista tomorrow?
I really don't see that. You probably want to give him another day's rest. He's only going to be able to pitch 1 game. And if you're sitting there, you're either Keystone, Buena Vista, or Chapman, you still got to win 3 games. So that if you save your pitching, if you use up your pitching now, you're not going to have it later.
How about Brian Rauh? I mean, obviously his status all week has been in question. We know he was in cleats today. We understand, he's iced and not necessarily sore, but that what happens when he warms up tomorrow, if he warms up tomorrow, if they choose to use him, is obviously a big question mark.
Yeah, well, if Chapman is going to win the national championship, Brian Rauh is going to have to come back and play. I don't expect to see him tomorrow, just because they might not need that power. But when you get to the championship game and you put Brian Rauh in, boy, that would be a dream matchup if we could see Gosser and Rauh pitch against each other.
So the throwaway game, this is the game that Marietta has to play tomorrow against Keystone. Marietta, if they lose, obviously they're still in the tournament, so they can afford not to throw one of their big three, and we don't expect them, obviously, to even consider throwing one of their big three. So looking at either Mike Mahaffey, who's 2-0 with a 1.29 ERA. Casey Levens, obviously, is a name who's familiar because he's a position player. He's gotten in a handful of games. He's got a 1.50 ERA as well. But tell us about the throwaway game.
The throwaway game is a perfect game for Marietta to put to a quality pitcher. Brian Brewer's not looking at the big three. He's looking at one of those other two pitchers. And you look at a pitcher like Mahaffey. He was the USA South Rookie of the Year when he played for Methodist, transferred to Marietta, and still hasn't had a chance to shine. But you know that he's going to be able to put together a good game.
Yeah, and don't forget, of course, once upon a time, the team that won this game and went 3-0 got the day off. They do not get that. That was deemed to be too big of an advantage. So that's why Marietta has to come back. They have to play. They have to burn a pitcher, even if it's not one of their big three. And then they come back tomorrow. If Marietta beats Keystone tomorrow, then Keystone is eliminated, and Marietta has to lose twice to not win the national championship. They are going to play for the national championship regardless. If Keystone wins, then Buena Vista plays Chapman, the winner plays Keystone, and then the winner plays Marietta for a one-game winner-take-all on Tuesday. I'm Pat Coleman. He's Jim Dixon. We'll be back with more from Appleton, Wisconsin.